Happy International Women's Day to all the amazing women out there and to all those amazing women who have served as examples in my life. And to all the men as well who've been a support and example to me as well, and allowing me to either fly or sometimes fall, depending on the day. So, as I've been reading through Instagram posts, it's been interesting to see and hear some of your stories. And as I was thinking, I thought about one of the hardest things that I've ever done. And I'd have to say there's never been anything I thought I couldn't accomplish. From the time I was the only girl on a all-boys softball team, I had some amazing men coaches in my life who never let me not think I could do something. And so I grew up kind of thinking I could always do something. And so when I got to be an adult and I went through my divorce and found out I got into my master's program, that was probably the first time I felt like I may not be able to do this. And I remember talking to a coworker and kind of talking to her about how I was in a panic about going into my master's program and thinking I couldn't do it. And how was I going to be able to handle the workload? And I'm going through a divorce and I'm trying to provide for the kids, for 3 kids now. And things were really, really tough financially. And I didn't know how I was going to do this. And she just looked at me and said, I went through a divorce too and finished school. And there is nothing that you can't accomplish. And it's going to be the hardest thing you'll ever do. And it'll also be the greatest distraction. So I decided to go ahead and do it. And I remember just kind of putting one foot in front of the other and getting to that next project I needed to finish, or getting through my next month of internships, or getting through that next point I needed to, and feeling like I'm just kind of muddling through and getting through. And when I got to graduation, I was handed some cords and I'm like, what are these for? And the lady said, well, they're honor cords. You graduate with honors. And I couldn't believe it, because I've never been that good of a student to where I would ever earn honor cords. I always did well, but not well enough to be on honor rolls or things like that, or get honor cords. So I was a little floored, and I said, they're not for me. Like, it's fine. I know I did well enough that I wasn't going to have anybody. No one told me that I wasn't graduating. So I had just kind of muddled through and kept moving and tried not to look at my grades semester to semester, because I didn't want it to be depressing to see maybe I wasn't doing as well as the other people in the class. And just trying to remind myself I had a lot of other obligations on top of what I was doing in the master's program. And so I really was having trouble accepting these honor cords from this person. And she said, no, you graduated with honors. And I just sat there and was floored and just started crying, because I'm like, there's no way. And what a huge accomplishment that was. Because for me, when I went to graduation, that was 10 days after my ex-husband passed away. So I went through my master's program wondering how I was going to get through those 2 years. And then when I graduated, wondering how I was going to get through the next, I don't know how many years. And the master's program came at a time when I couldn't see what was going to happen 2 years down the road. And I couldn't see that I was going to be a sole parent to these 3 kids. And it was just a very difficult thing. And to walk across that stage had so many emotions behind it. And one of them was that, I wasn't going to be the most financially well off, but I was going to be able to have a schedule where I was able to provide what I needed to for the kids, while also being able to be home for them, which wouldn't have been possible 2 years prior if I hadn't gone through my master's. And so it's nice to be in a field where I'm able to be home with them, and be able to be home with them on breaks and available to them, which is what they need, but also to be able to know that we're okay as far as, we have the necessities and it's okay. And so that was a huge thing in my life. And on International Women's Day, if I could say anything to you out there wondering if you can make it, you can. And it just takes one step, seriously one step at a time. And sometimes it's not a graceful step, and sometimes it's a step backwards. But it's a step, and just keep getting to that next thing you got to do, and keeping that in mind, and getting through the tough times. And eventually you'll be able to look back and go, oh my gosh, I came this far. And that was kind of my moment, was at my graduation, was, oh my gosh, I came this far. Like I did it. And because a lot of times you didn't feel like you were doing it. You just felt like, I got the kids off to school. I got myself off to my internship. I got that 10-page paper written. I got this done. I made it to work today. Everyone got where they needed to go, but I don't know if I did much, and it doesn't feel like a lot day to day. But when you look back on it, it is. So if I can just say one thing, it's to continue to be strong. You are strong, and you can accomplish great things. And, I keep channeling that inner girl I had at age 8, being the only girl on the softball team, and being made to feel like there was nothing I couldn't accomplish. And there is nothing that you can't accomplish. So if I could say one thing, it's just, like I said, just keep putting one foot in front of the other, continuing to take that next step, being okay that it's not always so graceful, and giving yourself some credit, and look back a little ways down the road and see how much you've accomplished and how far you've gotten. You got this. Happy International Women's Day.